Attention gamers. When it comes to esports, League of Legends is thriving, like a 14 death sign in front of a Nexus turret, like a young Jeffrey Epstein in the early 2000s, like the McDonald's stock when a burnt peanut pulls into the drive-through lane. It just won esports game of the year. The Faker Bible just added a new verse in scripture. Chinese servers tie League accounts to people's national ID so that there aren't a bunch of douchebags running around on their 80th Smurf ruining the integrity of 90% of games, and overall, League is fantastic in the East. However, over in the states that have never been less united, League is kind of just a decomposing corpse, where every other comment on League videos is about how they quit the game, where the remaining community is more toxic than Chernobyl's asshole, and where the only way an LCS team is going to a Worlds final is if they buy a ticket as a fan, like all the locals over there who still love League. But it hasn't always been this way. It was once a flourishing game in the West, fueled primarily by what us Americans do best: entertain while sucking at something. But it seems like even that has faded away, so today I'm going to walk down memory lane of all the creators I used to love watching when I grew up, where they are today, and then talk about how I can continue to be one of the last Westies that continues putting out content because of sponsors on my channel. So full disclosure, the last portion of this video after the League part will in fact be a sponsored segment, as that one segment makes more money than 4 months of YouTube paying me, so I would appreciate anyone who stays around at the point or even just leaves it running while they take a quick piss before clicking on their next video. But with that, let's get into the first channel. Voyboy, the kid. The man inspired me to play my first main on the channel, Ezreal. With his top blue Ezreal tech, I used to lay in bed with one hand on my balls and watch his streams every night until he eventually had a viral meltdown on a staircase, then decided to die on the hill of cancelling another streamer and then disappear completely from the scene. Nightblue 3 before the facecam days showed just how insane the YouTube meta used to be in the American League scene, as he would post daily videos that would get multiple millions of views each. He ran a series back in 2014 where he tried to carry a flex team of scrubs to diamond in ranked 5s or some shit, and it was a fun one to watch, but he soon experienced a drop in views, did a face reveal to stay relevant, and while he's still in the scene, his videos are getting less than 5% of the views they once were. Bunny Fufu was the last creator at the time that I knew of, and while I didn't watch him a lot as his loud equals funny over the top edits weren't my style, but at least it was driving millions of new eyeballs to League every week with his video ideas. As his views started dropping, he must have looked at his most viral video and realized that gamers are horny pervs, and ended up trying to launch a gamer-focused porno brand. He's since returned to League because there's nowhere else for League creators to go with a fraction of the views he used to get. At this point was the second wave of content creators: Heisman, my college roommate and a network I knew through him, Professor Akali, Glacier SRO, and Ross Boomsocks. This was the group that made me feel like shit because it was around the time that I finished college and started a 9-to-5 that I hated, when I learned that they were all making way more money than me from YouTube. They have all either quit completely or are getting less than 10% of the monthly views they were once getting. Enter the RAV era, where I would say the other creators that entered the scene around the same time as me were Scotch, high-effort scripted analysis content around specific champions and builds. Fun story: I once stole one of his thumbnails and then showed the world how an influencer is supposed to act when they fucked up and they know it. Wow. But anyways, he's since completely quit League and doesn't make content for it anymore. Happy chime noises used to break down off-meta high-elo players and how they got to the top ranked in unconventional ways. He hasn't posted in literal months. And lastly, Outside Joke. Known for his series on useless information about League of Legends, this poor kid fell into the trap of not only League content but one series of League content, and now he rarely posts, mainly when he has a sponsor, and mostly getting a fraction of the views he once was. I know I missed a ton of others like Bricky, Uberdanger, Magikarp used fly, all legends in the YouTube scene, but they all don't post League content anymore either. The top streamers like Tyler One, who used to single-handedly carry interest in this game in the US, are playing Minecraft and Variety these days, and I'd argue that most of the top remaining relevant English streamers are all EU-based. I'm certainly not seeing US-based YouTube channels emerging as new and popular, as I'm one of the few that are even still posting, which brings me to my channel. Undoubtedly suffering from the same plummet in League views that all the channels I've listed so far in the video have experienced from a declining interest in League. And while I still love the game, it's hard to ignore that it's becoming less and less sustainable to make content for it anymore, so I do plan on exploring some other series and am open to recommendations as long as they aren't some shit game that no one has heard of. But in the meantime, I still enjoy trying to make unique videos for this game even though the ones that get views are the negative ones, so with that I'd just like to thank the companies that are sponsoring me to continue being one of the only old League YouTubers still posting League content. So on that note, I'd like to talk about the exciting stuff going on at today's sponsor. A game that was notorious for funding many of the retired creators that I mentioned in this video. A game that has seemingly survived longer than League in the West, due to its progression system, the satisfaction of building a collection, and a never-ending cycle of new fresh content and collaborations being released. Raid Shadow Legends is truly one of a kind when it comes to mobile games that you can also play on your PC, and let me tell you, something big is coming soon for this game. For anyone who is curious or wants to support my channel, I will say my link or this QR code will give you bonus packs and epic champions, not to mention promo codes that I will get into later in the video. But bottom line is I'm coming with a bunch of free shiz for anyone who might be on the fence for trying. But let's talk a bit about the game first. No, actually let's get to the juicy stuff right away. Yeah, I'll just say it. Raid is partnering with none other than 20th Century Games to bring arguably the two most dangerous creatures in the galaxy to the game, the Xenomorph and Predator. Xenomorph, inspired by FX's Alien, brings deadly poison debuffs and veil buffs plus a brand new infest debuffs with the ability to revive itself. The Predator, inspired by Deck from the Predator, is an insane warrior that evades enemy skills and counterattacks them from the shadows. Both legendary champions being added to the game, and players can get them both. Starting November 24th, just logging into the game for 7 days will get you Xenomorph, and then completing the Champion Pass will get you the Predator. This includes completing easy daily objectives during the event. There's also a basic Champion Pass and an Elite Champion Pass with different rewards and better incentives, but all of this is gone forever once the event is over, so even if you don't know if you want to play Raid, it's worth getting it for free, logging in once a day and getting these champions to have for the future. The collaboration between the worlds feels so natural, it's honestly badass, where you see iconic Raid champions in a cinematic battle against the Predator himself as if it's part of a legit movie as she fends him off, and then in pure fashion you see his staple vanish, only for us to see how Xenomorph gets incorporated. The work between these teams is insane, it's chilling, and it's so cool knowing that some of the most iconic brands are mashing up together into playable concepts in this game. It's not the first time Raid has collaborated with a powerhouse, and I'm sure it won't be the last. I'm just stoked to be a Xenomorph main and to scare the living daylights out of my opponents. Again, it's limited time only, so I'm thinking months down the line I will queue Arena and people will see these champs that they can't obtain anymore, and it'll just be the flex of a century. But let's talk a little more about Raid in general. The core mechanic revolves around collecting champions from a variety of unique factions that all bring different abilities, auras and passives. It's like Pokemon, but where you can equip armor to each champion and then combo their abilities or effects together into a roster to buff each other in literal millions of different unique ways. So Pokemon, but with 2 to the 7th power more depth. And while there are guides to what the best comps are, I like being able to craft unique, reliable strategies with my own brain. You then take these rosters into the campaign, which is the main source of progression through the story mode, or into harder adventures like dungeons, where you can unlock new champions or gear that you can equip to make your troops stronger. There's many other game modes and even PvP arena where you can fight other players with your collection. Throughout all of these you can collect shards, which is like opening card packs to get new Pokemon with different rarities and a little drop in the dopamine bucket every time. The higher the rarity, the higher the chance you'll get a champion of legendary quality, which is super duper rare. There are people who have played Raid for a long time and don't have any legendaries, but as someone who has been playing for a while and has collected a few, let me tell you, they are kind of insane to have on your roster. The good news is right off the bat, if you get the game with my link, they are giving you your choice from one of these legendaries by redeeming one of these promo codes. You can unlock Sun Wukong using promo code MONKEYKING to get this legendary champ completely for free. Has a self-resurrect and a bunch of buff-stealing abilities. Code GETALICE unlocks Alice the Wanderer, an attack-based DPS that does insane damage and fits the nostalgic theme of Alice's adventures in Wonderland. Definitely the coolest from a theme perspective. Code TREEHUGGER gets you Green Warden Ruark from the Sylvan Watchers, one of the most unique factions in my opinion, as he has a cool backstory. Desert Queen unlocks Tuhanarok, which is from the Barbarians, oh so sexy and strong, a race that's almost a must-have for certain clan bosses and dungeons, or Tholan Foulbeard with code DEMONSLAYER, who is basically Olaf gone wild in this game. Lastly, code UDKING gives you ultimate death knight, and this is what I would recommend going with, as he is just a core character in raid and absolutely slaps in battles. He takes all the hits for your team, he heals when enemies heal, he supports your entire squad, comes with provokes fears debuffs, just an MVP all around. Small other PSA existing players can use code GameLeap for energy brews and silver, or code PP500 for a bunch of other cool stuff, not to mention I am recruiting in my clan and people in my clan get a bunch of cool handouts from me as well. Finally, I mentioned that using my link or QR code unlocks starter packs for new players, which features Epic Drake from the Lizardmen faction who brings defense and revives, which will be great for any new player. Then if you reach level 15, you'll also get Epic Tagoar, one of the classic orcs in the game that would stomp through the early missions. If you stuck around this long, comment peanut butter so I know who the true homies are, and thank Raid once again for sponsoring me, being one of the last league creators left in the West. Rav out.